The ban just went into effect literally a couple of hours ago, Hala. And it is a growing crackdown clearly on the internet, though the Turkish government is justifying this crackdown for different reasons. Basically, taking a real objection against a leak that emerged on the internet, on YouTube, overnight, of an apparent conversation taking place in the office of the foreign minister of Turkey between him, the head of Turkey's main intelligence organization, and a military general and another top diplomat, in which they discussed the possibility of sending tanks into neighboring Syria. Of course, Turkey has supported the rebels in Syria for years now in that civil war. The Turkish Foreign Ministry came out announcing that the leak of this conversation in such a sensitive place is basically an attack, an act of espionage, and a very serious crime against the national security of Turkey. And that is why the Turkish government has taken the step to shut down yet another very popular social networking and video sharing site in Turkey. You can still get to YouTube if you go through a VPN, but of course, this comes after the Turkish government banned Twitter, which has more than 10 million Turkish subscribers, and the ban comes into effect, both of these bans, just days before Turkey goes to the polls in elections. These are local elections for mayors of cities and towns, but held nationwide on the same day. In a very heated political climate, these elections are seen as a referendum on the rule of the Turkish prime minister, who's been in power now for more than 10 years. So critics of these bans are arguing that this is just another example of the Turkish government and the Turkish prime minister trying to shut down communications on media sites that they cannot control. Of course, inside Turkey, there is a fair amount of self-censorship and a number of news organizations and media organizations who've seen their top broadcasters, their writers, lose their jobs when they're seen to be too critical of the Turkish government. Hala?
So what happens now? I know there was a court in Turkey that objected to the ban, saying that it wasn't something that was justified. Is this going to go into effect in any kind of way that will truly limit Turkish citizens' access to these social media websites in the country?
Well, we've spoken to officials in the Turkish Prime Ministry. They have said that other sites will be shut down if nationally sensitive material is leaked on them. And we've seen a campaign of wiretap leaks over the course of the past months that clearly the Turkish government is uncomfortable with, because a lot of the material in there, these are apparently phone conversations purportedly between the Turkish prime minister, members of his inner circle, top executives from Turkish corporations, from other government agencies. And some of it, if it is true, is potentially criminal. It involves purportedly conversations where the prime minister instructs his own son to hide millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars in cash from police investigators. That has been denied by the Turkish prime minister. So you've got officials in the prime ministry telling us that other sites may be shut down if other potentially sensitive information is released on there. As you mentioned, a Turkish court has overturned the Twitter ban, but Turkish officials are leaving the door open for a broader ban of the internet. The problem here is that Turkey cannot shut down the worldwide internet unless it implements bans on the scale of China, for example, where you really are limited access to Twitter, to the New York Times, to other news organizations. You just can't shut down the internet unless you cut Turkey off from the rest of the world. The bigger problem, it seems, that Turkey faces are leaks within the government itself. And that, until now, the government seems unable to stop.